It's time for our 30-second board. We're going to drop the gate on hot topics within the sport. We mentioned this last week, but it's going to be relevant more so than ever. Pro Motocross Championship now less than a month away, and this is going to be awesome. We're focused on the 450 division because it was so epic last year between Sexton and Tomac. Should have Dylan Ferrandis back healthy and Jet Lawrence moving up. 250 class 2. This is going to be amazing this summer.
Yeah, 1 week closer to what I believe is going to be an amazing summer of racing. Like you said, there's a lot of depth at the top of both classes. And just like Supercross, I feel like I'm going into every single week wondering who's going to be the best this week. And you can make the argument for a lot of different riders. But, man, I've never been so hyped for Pal, especially in the 250 class too, because it looks like these championships are pretty close to being decided, which gives us a reason to start hyping up a fresh championship where the East and the West will come together, but they'll do it every single week of Pro Motocross. So excited for Paula. We're 1 week closer. And while we're talking about a specific race, let's talk about East Rutherford and the Love Moto Stop Cancer race, Weege. One of my favorite races of the year. It's like Halloween. Everybody dresses up. You see the gear, you see the graphics, and they did it again in East Rutherford, which will obviously kick off a number of different things, including our auction.
Yeah, our auction will start May 1st. They're collecting the gear and plastics and things like that from the New Jersey race. Auction begins May 1st, goes to right after our Salt Lake City finale. So you got 2 weeks to bid on these things. Now, that's always cool, but this mud race, the memorabilia and jerseys and gear and all that, it's going to be even a cooler one-of-a-kind item to hang on your wall.
Yeah, they'll be saying, hey, remember that one time? And then they'll look up on their wall and say, yeah, it's right there on my wall. I got a piece of it. So that'll be cool. We've already raised over $1 million for St. Jude. So all you moto fans out there, let's keep it going. It's a great cause. We're doing great things. Let's keep moving. You got the hand-painted goggles by Troy Lee, the Oakley goggles. You've seen the guitar we've advertised on Race Day Live. So yeah, May 1st to May 15th. Let's rock and roll. We're doing great things. Let's keep it going. Speaking of keeping things going, RJ Hampshire, Weege, he keeps things going with Rockstar Husqvarna with a 2-year extension, and he rewards them with a dive bomb into the last corner on Jet Lawrence.
It's a very busy weekend for RJ. He actually appeared on MLB Network. We'll show you that later in the show. Yes, he announced a 2-year extension. Let's get to that, and then we'll talk about his main event in the mud.
Super excited, man. We've grown a lot with this team, new bike, and man, the belief they have in me showed big time this year with this contract, and yeah, just really want to get back to them and deliver a championship for these guys. It's cool to see them stick with me even through the bad years, and yeah, man, just super excited to be here another year, another 2 years, and thankful for the opportunity.
Okay, so RJ's back. Now, he's going to be one of the older guys in the 250 class this is a 250 deal for 2 more years. But you don't have to worry, because RJ still rides like a kid, as he proved in the last turn.
He hydroplaned his way into a outside of the top 10 finish, but I admire the effort, and I of all people, it would be RJ to go in there in the last corner, hydroplane, splash Jet Lawrence before he even gets to him, take them both out, and then that shot. Oh my gosh, his face after the race says it all. It tells you who RJ Hampshire is. So yeah, they're rewarding him with a 2-year extension. He rewards them with all heart every time he's on the track, and that was the case in East Rutherford.
Supercross Futures. So RJ, yes, one of the veterans of the 250 class. New talents coming in. This might have been the best Futures battle we've had so far this year.
Yeah, on the edge of our seats there late. Julian Beaumer did great early. He got out front, got a lead. Daxon Bennick, I talked to him after the race. He said he rode mad. He was really bummed about his start. And he said, you know what? I'm going for it all in. I'm not going to be conservative in this main. He put on an amazing, amazing ride late and just missed it. There could have been contact. There could have been a lot of contact if he wanted, but he didn't hit him. And after the race, they celebrated with each other and had a lot of respect, mutual. 2 future stars. I mean, gosh, both of them are really, really well. If you look at the lap times too, they're right there in the mix of things. So 2024, don't be surprised if you see them graduate and I think become players pretty quick in the class.
Yep, partially because of the experience they're gaining here in these Futures races. Also, Ryder DeFrancisco ends up on the podium in 3rd. Now, when we go to this area, this New York area, you expect to see a lot of celebrities around and hanging out. This was cool. We actually had a driver from the WeatherTech IMSA Sports Car Series, Sheena Monk, come hang out with us all night long. And she actually started her driving or riding days on an old Honda XR100. She still rides Honda street bikes. because she drives Acuras in IMSA. So how about that for staying with the brand? It was cool to check in with her.
It's just great to be out here. It's a new event for me. My family's quite fond of things on 2 and 4 wheels, so just wanted to come check out AMA Supercross and see what this was all about.
And they got a race coming up in Laguna Seca in a couple of weeks, but always good to have a little crossover there with other motorsports. But the ultimate crossovers for the weekend, Ken Roczen was everywhere all the time. You want to talk about growing the sport, exposing the brand of Supercross to the mainstream? Ken was doing it hardcore.
My week this week was very short at home. I flew out Wednesday night and I had a lot of media stuff to do on Thursdays and Fridays. We did Fox and Friends yesterday, which I was able to teach how to ride a dirt bike. And I went to the Empire State Building for St. Jude and Supercross, which was super cool. I had my bike up there. We did NASCAR radio station, so a bunch of fun stuff that, I normally don't get to talk about. So that was super cool. We've been busy ever since Thursday morning, and it hasn't stopped so far. But honestly, being here in New York is, it's always a pleasure. Like, we don't come here that often, and to spend a couple of days in the city and stuff, it's a totally different environment, and I had a lot of fun.
Yeah, I got to give him props, too, to be willing to go out and do all the things that he did in a city that's not very convenient to get around. Like, when I saw his schedule, all the things he was doing, my first question was, how did he get to all these things? How did they get the bike to the top of the Empire State? Like, how did they do all of that logistically? But they pulled it off. Kenny was a player all week long, loved it. I talked to him after, and he said he enjoyed every minute of it. So shout out to Ken Roczen and his involvement in growing the sport. But man, pulling that off logistically, I think that had to be the toughest part of the entire deal. The delay, Weege. We hung out for a little bit.
Speaking of logistical problems.
Yeah. What did you do? So I hung out a little bit with the riders. Everyone's kind of broing down a little bit. We did some interviews to keep things going. What did you do during the delay?
Yeah, it was a open season on Broing Down because the riders and their mechanics had to stay in the tunnel, as did we. They weren't supposed to go back because of the lightning threat. And let's just make this clear. This was a lightning threat, not a rain threat. I think the main events proved we'll still run races in the rain and mud. The lightning was the issue.
We are not afraid of some weather. It's just the lightning that pushed everything back, which leads me to what I believe the real MVPs of the night, which is the track crew. And Jason, the reason why is because when we all left way late at night, they were just beginning their job and they knocked it out, cleaned up that stadium, got everything out of there. And they are just, we talk about how good they are at prepping the track through those conditions. We never give them props for what they do after. And this had to have been one of the worst ones for them ever. And they absolutely nailed it because that's what they do.
Yeah, it's a real simple science here. Think of how much heavier all that dirt is when it's saturated with water. So the game plan that you had to bring it in and bring it out, now you got to do everything probably fourfold, fivefold to make it happen and stick to the schedule. And also, like you mentioned, the track was still good. They were still jumping all the obstacles. So dirt works or mud works for the weekend. Great job with
works.
that.
Mud works.
But the greatest job of all, look, the MVP of Supercross so far this year, Eli Tomac. Look, he's a living legend. He added to it. I thought his season might be done. He was making no effort to get back on the motorcycle with that shocking crash in the first lap for the first time practice session. And he ends up extending his points lead, and we barely even remember this now.
Yeah, Race Day Live was pretty dramatic through all that. We were getting updates and wondering, like, is he going to be okay? And then he comes out and he hole shots the second qualifier. He's not the best during qualifying. And then you go in the heat race, he wasn't the best either. But then the rain comes down, the gate drops for the main event. Everyone has their own issues, but guess who doesn't have issues? It's Eli Tomac, who not only dealt with a tough crash that probably physically hurt him, but he was stressing before that main event. I mean, we're talking about a bike malfunction, but no, Eli Tomac beats Cooper Webb, he beats Chase Sexton, he extends his points lead on probably one of the worst days he's had this season, physically, mentally, emotionally, and he pulls away. So yes, he is an absolute legend. The legend grows. Speaking of legend, Justin Barsha, he is becoming a legend. He's becoming the most likable guy in the pits, Weege, like snap your fingers and all of a sudden everyone loves him. But it's because of two things. Number one, he's super fun. He's super playful with his attitude. And number two, he's really, really good on the motorcycle. So for those of you who are wondering if he got that 2-year extension and maybe he was just going to back off and play around now they got his deal, no, he went out and won for him. So congratulations to him and the team for getting that done.
Yeah, and let's not forget, he was born in New Jersey, raised in New York. Obviously moved away a long time ago to Florida and Georgia to be able to ride during the winter, but he still has family in the area, and that was really popular And I got to give a shout out to the crowd, by the way. 90-minute delay and then sitting in an open stadium in the rain. And there were still plenty of people cheering Barsha's celebration at the end. So that shows how hardy both Barsha and his fellow New York, New Jersey people are. A little less drama when it comes to the 250 East class. Hunter Lawrence didn't quite lock up the championship. Credit to Hayden Deegan, who was flying in the mud, crashed, still salvaged a good finish. And then obviously Anstie got himself back within it mathematically by winning to stave it off. But look, this is pretty much done. I think Hunter needs to finish like 20th this weekend in Nashville.
Yeah, we were doing the math, and we knew that he had to beat Hayden by a certain amount to get the championship. Next thing you know, it's on the screen, points as they run, and Max Anstie is going to be the one who stops the clinching from happening. So a shout out to both Deegan and Anstie for at least hanging in there and keeping this thing going another week. And it's a missed opportunity for Hunter. If he would have won that night or won the championship at East Rutherford, he'd have been the first rider since James Stewart in 2004 to clinch 2 rounds early, which is something that a little Jetson was never able to do. So Hunter almost had a shot at it there, but he missed it. He'll get it in Nashville, which is probably a little bit more fun place to party at anyways after. So shout out to Hunter. He's going to get that title probably next week. And again, shout out to Max Anstie for stopping it in its tracks.
This weekend, we're going to be on NBC from Nashville, and get ready. It's a day race. So you and I will be on Race Day Live this weekend. That starts at 9:30 a.m. Saturday, 9:30 Eastern. And we'll be on NBC. We'll be live on television, also Peacock at 3 o'clock Eastern. So a day race in Nashville.
Hi, folks. Lee Diffie from NBC Sports here. If you truly enjoyed what you just watched, you can get more news, interviews, and highlights by subscribing to the Motorsports on NBC YouTube page. You can get it all, so go for it.